Welcome back to another edition of the FGA Report. I am Brian Smith, and I am joined by Coach Francis from Creekside High School on the south edge of Atlanta. Coach, thank you for coming on the show to talk a little bit about high school football in your neck of the woods. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man.
We are blessed to have two areas. Like I live in Tampa, you live in Atlanta. I mean, throw a rock, you're going to hit somebody that can play football where we live, both places. So, and I travel back and forth, as you well know, between the two. Try to explain to people in kind of like a short 30-second segment, like why colleges try to do what you and I talk about all the time, one-stop shopping in Atlanta as compared to some other cities.
I just think Atlanta kind of has everything. Like you can find any position here. You got quarterbacks. I think getting trained on another level with Quincy Avery and Sean and those guys doing QB takeover, Ronville, what he has done, what Tony Ballard has done, with just Enrico, what he's doing coming up, Coach Hines. I just think it's like a lot of great quarterback coaches here. And not to mention the guys that are coaching high school, developing that position as well. Just training, like a lot of great trainers here, a lot of great high school coaches here. So I just think it really benefits the athletes here when you got a lot of coaching. I think the exposure here is second to none in terms of what the off season is like here. Like you got two of the not top 7-on-7 national programs here.
Yeah.
Like
Hustle and Cam, yeah.
like that states only have one, you know what I mean? We got two. So just what happens with the exposure for the kids and development that's year round is great here. So you want to be developed in anything is already here in Atlanta. And I think that's different from a lot of states when it just turns to developing players. It's kind of you already got the natural talent with the kids here, but now you're talking about development with the trainers, with the high school coaches. It's second to none. So
I agree. And like I tell some of my buddies here in the greater Florida area, especially Southern Florida, Atlanta's better than Miami, and they get mad. And I say, when was the last time you guys consistently produced quarterbacks? And I always get blank stares. They don't. What's the most important position on the field? Quarterback.
yeah, I just think you got the
It's
best.
simple.
I just think you got guys like flying in and train with Quincy and
Oh,
those
yeah.
he take over flying in train with Run, with Tony, with Drico. Like just got guys coming in from everywhere to just train with those guys, man. I think they're doing a great job developing quarterbacks. Like most states got one guy. We got four different people you can go to and get better. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that's the blessing.
Yeah, I haven't been around all of them, but like just being around Hustle, kind of like how he runs his stuff. It's just it's professional. This is why you do it. You need to do this a little bit better. It's detailed stuff, and that's how colleges work. So college coaches want to take kids that already have a college perspective. And it's not just quarterback, but that's a great example because quarterback's so technical anyway. It's played above the shoulders. But I've I've gotten to the point where I think Atlanta is the most consistent state in understanding what it takes, or city, as far as what it takes to get to, not just make it to a Georgia or Ohio State or Oklahoma or whatever it is they go to, but once they get there, not to be shocked because of what you said. The kids all compete against each other. You know, you got guys like Route King that run the receiver stuff, like you're talking. He's legit. Kids don't go there and spend a bunch of money to not get better, and then they do get better. Like Denilon, you and I both know Denilon. He signed with Kirby in Georgia. He worked with him. Did he get better? Yes.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
Rock King does a great job. But like I said, I feel like we got multiple trainers and everything. Like Rock King does a great job. The top shelf with TJ Stiff, they produce guys, like a lot of guys too. So it's every position though. Like I said, you got multiple guys at every position that produces. Like you got Chuck Smith and his
Oh, Chuck, yeah,
he
legit.
does. You got PRU and the D line stuff they do. You got offensive line coaches. Coach Kev is one of the best offensive line coaches, and you got the trench guys. Like it's every position in Georgia. You got multiple like DB gurus in Georgia. It's probably like 10 or
That's
5 of those
tough.
guys. Brian Atlanta to Coach Ford to Derek Tatum to Anthony Mitchell to OD.
OD is really good.
Oh man, I don't want to leave nobody. I don't want to leave nobody out. My guy at Pace, who coaches with Hustle as well. Coach McQuarrie, Coach Amy, two DB coaches that coach with us. Like they produce multiple college guys as well. Like it's guys like it's in every position you can find someone in Atlanta if you want to train and you want to get better. Like no excuse here for you not to be getting better at your craft. It's no excuse.
Yeah,
None.
that's what I mean. The access to it is just very unique. I don't know why it's that way. A lot of guys just because you got to be into it because your phone will never stop. I know that just from being in the recruiting world. Like I just got a phone call before we came on about a kid that committed to UCF. You know, it happens out of the blue, and you got to be able to drop and do what you're doing and go. Guy like Quincy Avery get a phone call from an important client. He got to roll.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is, man. And for some reason, Atlanta's just got more of those guys than any other city. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that part of the reason, like the specific north suburbs of Atlanta, is as good now as anywhere in the country. It just in the last 5 years has went bonkers. All like North Cobb, etc. Not just them, Marietta. You have all the programs in that whole area of Alpharetta, Milton, and Milton obviously got Webius, arguably the top player in the country for the next class. It's insane. You know, like one of the kids that you know well, DeBron. People are going to know about DeBron Gatling really quick.
Yeah.
You know,
he's a dude, man.
Yeah. And it's, you know, he's one of the kids you coached with Cam Newton last year. And I ran into him at Milton High School one day. I saw him in the hallway. I barely recognized him because he got so much bigger. And I stopped him and he's go, oh, hey, how you doing? You know, these kids are getting bigger and stuff in training. You can tell they're taking it serious and they don't just want to go out and throw the football around. They're lifting weights. They're doing all the little things you got to do. And then that translates to when they get with a guy, you know, whichever one you want to pick, OD or anybody else. Hey, when we go out here, this is serious. They take it like it's their job. And when you can do that when you're 15, 16, 17, it's going to translate to the college level. And that's something that is so rare. Michigan, Notre Dame, and Ohio State all hit Atlanta hard. They've never done that. Now they do it constantly.
I just think like getting a chance to work at USA Academy and talk to some of the guys who came from like a college background, they coach college. I just think certain states, you kind of get guys that are underdeveloped, and then you got some guys that peak early because everything kind of happens. They got everything kind of given to them in terms of the weight, nutrition, all that you get in high school. So you might peak early. Then you got some guys who come in with nothing, so they in culture shock when they get to college. I think Georgia, you kind of got a great balance. Like you got the kids and you got the programs that have probably not the best athletes, but they got probably superb coaching, a great weightlifting program. They getting trained. So when they go to college, they know how to work. They're not the best athletes, but they just know how to work, so they're going to play. Then you got programs, you know,
Grayson.
that have a lot, but they're going to have good coaching and they're athletes, and they train on the side. So when they go to college, they just missing the nutrition part and the weightlifting part, and they can go hit the field. Then you got a lot of programs in Georgia. We kind of got almost everything. So those guys go to college and play immediately. I just think Georgia is just a testament of everybody's kind of bought into the football culture here, and it starts at a youth level here. So it's the culture, and I think it's just something great and something great to be a part of. I just think our football culture here is probably second to none. I know everyone's going to talk Texas, Florida, and Cali, but
Texas is the closest, and it could be better. They got more money than anybody, so their facilities are by far the best. It's not even competitive.
But yeah,
it's insane.
Have you seen the games with high school new facility? Though? I just think Georgia's coming though. Like, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's better, but I mean, you can't replace oil money.
Nah, you can't.
I went out to a high school north of Dallas. It's in the middle of nowhere. Their indoor facility would be similar to the Colts. Like it's just oil. You can't substitute it. But Georgia, for what they have, has done more than anybody. Alabama is similar. North Carolina is kind of in that realm. These states are just like they're investing more and more in it. And a coach in Georgia will make $150,000 and they buy him a house on top of it. Yes, this is true for people out there. No, it is fact. I know some of them, and you do too. If you're really good, especially those South Georgia schools where they got nothing else, you know, down Valdosta, Colquitt County, down through there, man, there ain't nothing else to do on a Friday night. You and I have both been to those places on a Friday night. If you ain't there ain't nobody else anywhere else. You're wasting your time for entertainment on Friday night. That's why they pay those kind of dollars, and they have those booster clubs. You know, the guy at Colquitt County, I know him. his job is to run the booster club. That's his job. Like he makes house payments off that. You know what I mean? Football in Georgia is different. So for people that live up north, especially like Ohio is an important football state, they don't even have spring practice. What y'all doing? What do you got? What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like in Georgia, they got spring practice, and then they got that summer stuff goes on too. That's like that padded campus. There's no way in the world that happens in Ohio. So this is why it's different in Georgia.
Stops in Georgia. It's like completely year round.
Yes. Yeah. You go see grandma at Christmas. That week's about it.
That's it. That's all the because once you come back in January, it's like
it's the most important month is January. Just like you said, it's immediate for a reason. It should be. If you want to go beat Grayson in the fall, you Milton or whoever it is, you better be ready on January the 5th. There's, somewhere around there to 7-on-7 and weightlift, or ain't gonna work. So
immediately once you come back.
That's exactly right. Speaking of, do you know the first quote unquote bigger tournament for 7-on-7 that's going to happen in the Atlanta area? I have not looked yet.
The first big tournament is going to be the YPL tournament. They do it every year. It's always be like 80 teams.
Holy cow!
Yeah, it's going to be at Carrollton again, I think. So that's going to be the first big one. I would say that's the first weekend in March. It's always a great ran event. Coach Rice, Coach Dave, and the YPL with Quincy, them do a great job. Ran a great tournament. Every year I went last couple years. So I just think that's going to be the first big one. It always ends with the Cam Newton Memorial Day. That's the last big one that kind of concludes the summer almost. So I know they're going to do it again. And it'll always be big. It was
in May.
Yeah, it's going to be probably bigger this year. So those two tournaments. And then I just think it's going to be some more tournaments probably in March and April that's going to be popping off. That's going to have a lot of local teams and a lot of teams like Alabama and North Carolina coming. So
I need to see some of the North Carolina. That's a really good state for football. It really is. And I don't always get everywhere. It's just impossible. The South is so big, man. I put 35,000 miles in my car this year.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, and that's just covering 3 states. You know what I mean? And I barely dipped into South Carolina and Mississippi just briefly once each. And it's just like the state of Florida from Miami to Pensacola is 10 hours to drive.
You really ain't got Florida be developing too, though. Like you got Bradell Richardson, one of the better.
Yeah.
Got to see. And I got to coach Javon Baker from when he was in 6th grade all the way up. So Bradell Richardson is second to none when it turns to talent, man. I think sky's the limit for that kid as well.
Yep. He lives right here in Tampa where I do. He's a good player.
Him and LeBron definitely top 2 receivers for certain in that class to me.
They got no problems making plays, so we'll be hearing a lot about them. Let me ask you this, like Route King, and all the trainers and all that. And I was talking with AJ Harris's dad yesterday. He's the corner at Phoenix City Central that every school in the country is offered. His dad's a great guy. He's got 3 different trainers for his kid. He's top corner, arguably in the country. You please put him in that conversation, top 3 or whatever. And they come up and they work with Route King like once a month in the bubble, they call it. I'm trying to get some kids together. And I know I talked to you about this yesterday, trying to get some of the Atlanta kids. Do you think we could do something like that more or less monthly? Because like, to my knowledge, the Atlanta kids, I've never seen one that you and I have been around at least that turned down comp. At least anybody that was any good. I think we should be able to do that. I mean, I'm going to bring some Florida/Alabama kids anytime I can because I think it's good for there to be the cross-reference. Atlanta, I mean, if you can't find competition in Atlanta, I don't know what y'all doing. But every time I've been there, any place I've went, any training facility, at a park, I've been everywhere, and there are kids that are good enough to play in the SEC.
Yeah.
Every single time.
I'm most definitely down, man. Them Atlanta kids, you bring kids from out of state, they gonna definitely want to compete. So,
Well, when they hear Florida kids, I know there's a special ring to that in particular. State of Florida and Georgia have just kind of a weird rivalry in general. Plus, they've always had the all-star games and stuff between them. But I'm going to try to get Cormani McLean and some different guys to come up. It's just, availability in the weekends. But for anybody out there that doesn't know who Route King or whatever, you can look him up. Twitter, you can look him up just on the internet. He's got his own webpage, etc. And there's a lot of different guys. It doesn't just have to be him. I'll move it around. There's a lot of trainers like Coach Francis is saying. I'll go and bring a few kids up, but the goal is to get a bunch of guys together that I can interview, that I can film, and then I can evaluate. One stop shop.
Oh
And if
no.
I bring a few kids from Florida and a couple of guys come from South Carolina, a couple of kids come from like Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, Atlanta's kind of it's centrally located in Dixie. It's just very convenient. Of course, there's an airport there that's probably the busiest in the world. I think this is something that we should do. Like anytime there is a tournament in Atlanta on a Saturday, there's no reason not to have at least a few of those kids come Friday night, even if they just watch and talk to each other about football. Not everybody has to quote unquote ball out and wear themselves out before a tournament. I get it, but they could still come and do something. And heck, even if I just brought 3 kids from Florida, there's always young Atlanta kids playing 15U and stuff. You and I saw it last year when you were coaching the Cam group. Like not all of them, but some of them were good enough to play like DeBron was to play 18U and be a contributor. I don't even know if DeBron was 15 when I saw him last year up at that tournament in South Carolina, but he caught everything. He's just a very fluid, natural athlete. And that's why Atlanta is just different.
Yeah, I
And
think.
kids are just ready.
Yeah, man. DeBron been working, man. That's a testament to them top shelf guys working with him, man. TJ and stuff. They do a great job.
Oh,
DeBron.
yeah.
He go to
Oh, yeah.
Milton. Milton, one of the best programs in the country. That's going to make
Yeah,
that.
I was there. Yeah.
So LeBron's getting the best of both worlds, man. He got a great training. He got great support staff in his mom and his family, and he got Milton. I mean, LeBron won a bit. Like I said, it's hard for me to say, but him and Burdell, man, are two of the top. I got to coach it last year at 15U.
Yep.
I don't think it was 2 receivers better than them two. No tournament I went to. I think Joseph Stone's the best athlete, one of the best athletes 2024 in the country. And he did this year. He
He's
played.
so strong now. He's powerful.
You came up and saw him. He played quarterback this year.
He's not a quarterback, but he
He
looked like a grown
played.
ass man in 6 months difference time that I'd seen him. He completely just exploded. I'm like, that's Joseph?
Goes to
Didn't
Grayson.
look like the same human being.
Goes to Grayson. And they make him work. Great program up there. Ran by, Grayson's Grayson, nationally known program.
Yeah, they get it done, man. You hate him, go beat him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they'd had a quarterback, they'd have probably won it again this year. Joseph is not a quarterback. He's a receiver, probably a boundary guy at the next level. And he'll play. He's good enough to play at Ohio State, Notre Dame, USC, Oklahoma, Florida State, wherever he wants to go. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. And he might have been the 3rd best receiver you had last year
And that's the
on
crazy.
team.
That's the crazy part. Him. You got to think about it, man. Winston Walker's probably number 1 receiver in 2025. He might have been the 5th one on the team. So it's kind of. And Winston just committed to Texas A&M, so congrats to him. Winston's going to be a problem this year at 15U. So I just.
Yeah.
Winston is very, 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 very good. Like, scary good. And he knows it, too. And he goes to IMG. So.
Yeah, he's getting the right kind of training. I worked at IMG for a while. There is no days off there. Either you want to work or you go.
So it's just a thing.
They won't tolerate it.
He's going to be in the next 3 to 4 years. Like, Winston's a ball player, man. So.
No, yeah. And it's interesting because there's a lot to be said for the athleticism, but the work ethic to go with it on some of the kids you just mentioned is what separates them. Because there's a lot of great athletes just here in Florida that I know, but they don't have the same work ethic. And it's that way in every state. I just happen to live here, so I know more kids. The Atlanta kids have taken the next step with training, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. But thank you very much, Coach. I'm going to wrap it up, but I'm looking forward to getting back up to Atlanta soon. It's 7-on-7 season, man. This is when it's fun. Every weekend, somebody new gets a chance to show their skills, earn some offers. So for everybody out there, I thank you very much. I appreciate it.